This on the planning director.
Fine.
Better, you know, I know, and I'm coming right there.
Where are you at?
We did.
Did you ever get that stuff out of the
No.
You don't use
That one, that's.
Hey, look.
Hey, how are you?
Good, hope you are.
Hi, good.
5 o'clock. Appreciate you all being here tonight. We'll go ahead and get started. Work session for next week's 10 a.m. council meeting. We did have an addition. There will be a proclamation for Decatur High School indoor drum line. Won bronze medal at the competition. Thank you, Mr. Jackson, for getting that. We didn't have anybody signed up for agenda-related items tonight. So moving to the agenda, approval of monthly bills, approved March 2025 monthly bills. Any questions? Approval of minutes, March 31st, 2025, 5 p.m. council work session, April 7th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. council work session, April 7th, 2025, 6 p.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, public hearings, resolution 25061, approved request for class 1 lounge license, liquor, beer, and wine on premise for the Little Cigar Shop at 110 2nd Avenue Northeast, Decatur, Alabama.
That was due to a zoning change that extended the square footage and allowed that, so they're going back before council for approval on that.
Okay. Any questions? All right, resolution 25062, approved request for special event retail liquor license by Greater Morgan County Builders Association for Linda and Belinda Peak Willis Pack Kentucky Derby Drawdown, May 3rd, 2025 at Eagles Hall.
As you see, this is coming back before you. The reason for that is because they've moved it from inside outside to the grassy area because it's less cost for them with it being a non-for-profit.
Any questions? All right, resolution 25063, assess demolition costs in the amount of $8,330 at 718 Cashin Street Northwest for abatement of unsafe conditions.
Yeah, council approved the demolition of these buildings, and they've been demolished. This is just to assess the cost of the property.
Okay, and the next one is 25064, in the amount of $5,340, 25 Old Trinity Road Northwest.
Yeah, same thing.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Resolution 25065, authorize execution of Morgan County EMA Brownsberry Emergency Planning and Response Agreement.
That's the same agreement that's required by unless there's somebody from the police department, that's the same agreement we have to sign just to keep it in the federal guidelines. So it's anything new haven't been doing.
No changes from last.
No changes.
All right, any questions? Resolution 25066, approve annexation moratorium for 2025 municipal election.
Good evening, Council.
Tom.
Tommy Williams with the Planning Department, and the City of Decatur is recommending a moratorium on annexations to allow for the establishment of zoning districts and polling locations for all parcels annexed since 2020.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 25067, approve MOU for continuing SRO program with Decatur City Schools.
Oh, I guess that's me again. Okay. It's the same program we've had for years with the Decatur City School System to provide SROs. We pay part of the cost. They pay a part of the cost, and if they need overtime, they pay that. If we need overtime usage of the officers, we pay it. So it's the same agreement we've had for years.
Any questions? Resolution 25068, approved designation for voting delegate and alternates for ALM business session, May 15th, 2025.
Yes, that's for the ALM business meeting. Currently, the mayor is going. I didn't know if anyone else would be attending.
You have him as the delegate.
As the delegate, yes.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 25069, apply for the transitioning to digital design review grant. Alan?
Yes, both of these grants are just making application. It's for the 2025 grants, so we probably would not hear on these until we actually do our budget in September for next year. We just need to go ahead and get that started so we can get in line for these. But these are only to apply, and they are 60-40 grants, both of them. But we would put those in our budget for 2025-26, the grant budget. So this is only to apply. Both of these.
All right, resolution 25070, apply for a grant for the historic survey of the Walter Jackson Elementary School neighborhood. Same one. Any questions? All right, ordinance 254608, approve annual ad valorem tax levy for FY '26.
Yeah, we introduced it, the state law requires us to adopt it in May. But Stephanie would want you to know, and I want you to know, there is no increase in the ad valorem tax rate.
Revenue tax is no increase. It's the same tax rate last week. Yeah, 45 years.
I read differently online this weekend.
All right, any questions? All right, ordinance 254609 declares surplus and return property donated to the city via resolution 230792 Grace Life Church.
This is the property that Grace Life donated to the city back by this ordinance and our resolution in '23 for the Everyday Sunshine Park. The church has had some turnover with pastors, and they just have a desire that we would not put the park next to their church. When they deeded us this property, they deeded us this property, and then they kept property to the north of that. So it's church, this property, and then the church has got additional property after that. Looking at that, but this goes back to Jason, Mr. Lake, and we met with them, the church, a couple of times. Just didn't feel like that they wanted to, what they had originally asked, if we'd just swap properties with them. Didn't think that property was probably as conducive to what we wanted to do. It's right next to a property owner. So I think Jason and I, again, I'm speaking for Jason now because he's not here, we just felt like the best thing to do would be just to deed that back to them. What we have spent to this point is basically plans for the Everyday Sunshine. We still have those. We've been working with Jeff Sharp to try to see if we could find another location. If we did, either the city would try to help him with that, or we could give him we would allow him to use these plans that we've generated for this. I mean, I know that so that's where we are. So
Do you know if Jeff has any plans or has any sites or anything to?
There's been some conversations about a number. I mean, we'd talked to Mr. Ladner about a couple of different locations. One of them, I don't think is not going to work. Yeah. We've also talked about maybe going down to, it just left me, J.C. Lewis Smith. That's a pretty big, that's a big park. It doesn't have a whole lot. They've got some playground equipment and stuff in the back, but there's quite a bit of land, so we've thought about maybe doing it there. Just don't know if that's going to work out or not. Jeff is, again, before Jason retired, that's one of the projects that Jason, we were looking at. So we just, those conversations will continue. But that is one location that we've talked possibly about.
Okay.
Just don't know if that's going to work out or not.
All right, any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Ordinances, ordinance 254606, approve annexation request 37925 for property on Pisgah Road.
Excuse me, y'all. On the annexation moratorium, I didn't give y'all any dates, but we are recommending April 21st through September 30th. Yeah. And that'll be after the election.
Would it be reduced down if there are no runoffs?
I think that is in case of a runoff, but I can get back with you on that.
In case of runoff, through the 30th.
Yeah, but those were the dates that were approved by the planning commission.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an annexation of 6.11 acres into the city limits. They're requesting a zoning of B2 general business, and this passed the planning commission March 18th.
All right, any questions?
He answered it with when that takes effect. Yeah, so we got an annexation moratorium running forward. Okay.
Ordinance 254607, approve Alabama Fiber Network franchise agreement.
And that's what, y'all already been presented. The representative for that network was here a few weeks back. This is part of the statewide broadband expansion, and they're the lead contractors on this. And he'll be here next Monday morning to answer any other questions y'all may have. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, our meeting next week is 9:30 work session, and then 10 o'clock council meeting. We do have a special called meeting for April 16th. It's actually at 3 o'clock now at Turner Searles Community Center. Does anybody else have anything before we move on?
So that topic segues into, we did receive word from Theo Smith via email that he is formally withdrawing his interest. That leaves one candidate up for interview. I would recommend this council go back and look at the candidate profiles. I would consider interviewing more than one candidate for this very important position, but we do still have Tori scheduled for 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So you will just need some guidance from this council. I would also recommend we just reopen the position and leave it open till it's filled.
No, I'm fine with leaving it open. I think we just need to move forward Thursday.
With the interview.
Planned, and then if there's other people that need to be interviewed, we can do that afterwards. So.
Instead of waiting and like you did, I mean, just last week, we moved with 2 planning candidates, extended the,
But we've already
interviewed.
but wouldn't it be fairer and better business to have multiple candidates?
And I'm not saying we won't do that. All I'm saying is why don't we go ahead and move forward with an interview this week, and then if the council wants to bring someone else on that list for another interview, we can do that. But we kind of already have these planned and a candidate ready to be interviewed on.
Rochelle, did the posting close?
Yes.
Unless y'all, I mean, I'm not.
I mean, I think we got to open it back up.
We'll open it back up and leave it open until it's filled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with leaving it open, but I'm just saying we need to continue with the interview as scheduled this week. I'm not saying we shouldn't interview anyone else. I'm just saying we need to move forward this week.
And I'm curious as to why we have to open it back up.
I just don't have.
That was not you. Carl said that.
Well, I mean, we wanted to open planning back up after we had to. I think we all selected who we wanted to interview, and there were 3. 2 of the 3 dropped. I don't think our next police chief should be by default by whoever doesn't drop out. I think we should interview more than one person.
We still have the opportunity, though, to bring back others from the other candidates that have applied.
Yeah. If it needed.
I mean, there were, what, 16 total?
I believe it's 18.
18, now 16, but I think there were more that were recommended that we could bring in.
Yeah, there were 6 that actually were recommended, and out of the 6, 2 of them withdrew. Yes. One of them is still there.
One was disqualified, so you only have 2 candidates left in your group. One, your group 2 is your second tier. They don't meet the minimum qualifications, but they have qualifications that could be considered.
But you say there's 2 additional
In group.
Yeah, in group 1. All right. Anything else? Is everybody okay with moving forward Thursday and then we regroup just like
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday?
It's Wednesday afternoon at 3 at Turner Searles.
Yeah, Wednesday, 16. All right. Anything else? All right, we'll move into public comment. We'll go in order, as we always do. We'll start with Byron.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Every time I come up here, I'm concerned about the safety and the health and welfare of the citizens, and I always state that. I turned over a written comment to you, Jacob, back in February, discussed some things that I had seen. This is a continuation of that. All right. I just want the people of the city, the people of the area, to know that we're dealing with something that's much bigger than a court case, Steve Perkins deal. It's a revolution, and the way the Lord has shown it to me, I just need to go through some of the things. As early as 2011, I was shown where Russian people or representatives of Russian people had infiltrated organizations within the United States. And I did a video on YouTube, foreign infiltration into the United States, including churches. I published that on December the 6th, 2011, over 13 years ago. And then of late, 4,820 days later, I had a dream where you were speaking Russian. And another one, right around the same time, you had dog paws. So I'm going somewhere with this. Yeah. There was a video in which I mentioned to you in the written comment. I talked about city leaders or city employees doing things within the city to cause the city harm. In specific, I did it over by Decatur Morgan Hospital. In that case, I saw a bomb, but inside the video, I included city leaders may do things to control city actions. So I'll get it up to that point. The dog paws come into when people take money for doing actions. Biblically, dogs eat crumbs that fall from people's tables. Jezebel had a table. She offered things for the prophets of Baal and the prophets of the Grove from that table. And I am very concerned that the people of Decatur aren't ready for what's coming. I'm very concerned that the outfall of what may happen in a court case, the people aren't ready for. So you can expect U.S. soldiers to be brought to establish control of Decatur after the orators finish their protracted squabbling and have gained enough sympathizers to create civil unrest. We need to pray for our black brothers and sisters. A backlash is coming, and I believe it's actually planned. I'll get to that in a second. The dogs will also transport white non-resident agitators to fuel this fire, and they will be capable of planting bombs, which I've listed earlier. There's a lot more that I'm going to mention in other videos. People that are hearing this will have the opportunity to go and see that. I'll cut this short because I'm obviously rolling with time here. My YouTube channel is Juniper Tree and Beyond. It's all one word, no spaces. And on Facebook, I'm Byron Eccles on Facebook. You can find me there if you wish to lead this. But finally, I just want to say that I have never in my life not cared about the citizens of Decatur. I fought for this country, I fought for these citizens, and I believe, regardless of opinion, I'm doing the same thing right now, and that includes black and white, Hispanic, and whatever we have here in Decatur. We pass forward? All right, thank you.
All right, Sarah French.
As a reminder, a man had to die before a lot of us realized what was going on in our city. In our fight for justice for Steve, we are also fighting for justice for Decatur. In the fight for justice for Steve, no matter what's been said or done, it has all been worth it, and we will keep up that fight. However, justice for the city provides much discouragement when things are brought to light over and over and nothing is done about them. I'm not going to say the city hasn't made progress, but in many areas they're still struggling. I am very thankful for the candidates for chief, and I look forward to a new one being put in place and taking over the department and making some positive changes. I hope somewhere in this process they have thoroughly been informed on the situation our city has went through in the past year and a half. The importance of knowing how our department has been and what we have been through with that department will help the new chief make the changes that have to be made. As we still see, we have some major changes with certain officers targeting us no matter what we are doing. After the new chief is in place, I really hope the council and the people who can make change turn their eyes on other departments in our city that have been brought to our attention and have also been part of the Good Boys system. Just last week in this council meeting, as I have stated before, our HR department is more than lacking in good decisions, and there have been proof of that over the past year. Our fire department is just as important as our police department. We need to make sure that our tax dollars are going to provide the best protection for our city, to have the best employees out there and serve the most critical moments. Although I believe a majority of our fire department are doing the job to the best of their ability, what about those who aren't? Many things have been brought to light, and it's time to look into those and deal with them. They've had enough time to correct them on their own. Even as the night of September 29th with Steve Perkins, wrong is wrong and right is right. If you are a city official in any capacity or a chief or a director and you know wrong is going on and you do nothing about it, you are one of the major problems with Decatur City. If you know discrimination is going on, it's time to stop it. Our city demographics are roughly 57% white, 30% black, 13% Hispanic. Our city employee demographics are 78% white employees, 17% black employees, and 5% Hispanic. That's not because of who's filling out applications, as many people would love you to believe. This has to do with our leaders in place and our HR department, and it's time to stop discrimination in the city. How is it that one of our main department tries to boost morale and wish department employees happy birthday? However, for the past year, they were able to wish 79 employees happy birthday, and out of all the black and Hispanic employees, only 2 got wished happy birthday. It's not made up numbers. I did the numbers myself. It's discrimination. Justice for Steve Perkins and justice for Kevin Jackson.
Hello, everyone. I'm not a public speaker, so y'all bear with me. This is way out of my comfort zone. My name's Ashley, and some of you may know my husband is firefighter Kevin Jackson. My husband has worked faithfully for Decatur Fire and Rescue for 21 years. He has given countless hours and devotion to a city where the leadership continues to toss him aside. I know he's not perfect, none of us are. However, I do believe that a huge asset to this city is being unnecessarily sidelined and overly punished. It was my privilege to watch Kevin promote through the ranks and fulfill dreams he's had since childhood. I saw the hours of studying, note-taking, training, reading, etc. I saw the look of pride on his face when he tested first place on the lieutenant's test, and he became the 3rd ever black man to be promoted to lieutenant in the history of the city. Proud doesn't even begin to describe how I felt about him, and so many others did too. If we could gather every person that has been positively impacted by Kevin Jackson during his years of service with this department, there would be too many to fill this room. If we called into question the knowledge he has of fire trucks, equipment, first aid, turnout gear, his life-saving abilities, the science behind firefighting, all that stuff, we'd be here all night. He just has that much knowledge. And I don't say that just because he's my husband. You can ask anybody that works with him. He's very knowledgeable about what he does. No matter how much of himself he has given to this department, it was all so quickly taken away. Around this time last year, he was called to City Hall over an anonymous tip that was called into a hotline regarding his behavior on a particular scene, a scene that no one mentioned nor complained about until nearly 5 months later. Shortly thereafter, a laundry list of accusations were made against Kevin by his superiors, even though he had no disciplinary record at all up until this point. He had never been written up, never been reprimanded, never been suspended, given time off, nothing of the sort. Instead, on the contrary, he was given great annual reviews. Just 2 months before this anonymous tip, Kevin was given a review which stated, and I'm going to quote this, "Lieutenant Jackson reports to work early, doesn't abuse his sick leave, and loves being a firefighter. He is a natural leader and inspires those around him. Occasionally, his passion spills over and he can be abrasive. However, I've seen improvements through the last year in his attitude and outlook and feel confident that will continue. I'm happy to have Kevin on shift and rely on him regularly on emergency scenes," end quote. And taking all that into account, the mayor still thought it was fitting to double demote my husband.
Mr. Ladner, she knows, and I hate to interrupt, but this is a pending matter in the Circuit Court of Morgan County, and I appreciate.
I'm not asking them to say anything.
If she starts talking other than for her husband, I suggest that she steer toward waiting until this matter is held in the Circuit Court, okay? I apologize for interrupting, but I must do that, okay?
I'm not saying anything other than talking about my husband. I'm not asking y'all to say
Well, you
anything if you don't
mentioned
want
somebody
to.
else's name is the only problem I.
Just his point of view.
Yeah.
Okay. I attended the determination hearing with my husband. He prepared and read 6 pages of his own words, outlining and explaining everything this department was bringing against him. The mayor's comments in return were few. He stated that Kevin's...
Stick to Kevin's.
Okay. Later, Kevin received a letter saying that he would be demoted down to the rank of firefighter. Keep in mind that just in the last 2 years, 3 other Decatur Fire employees have been disciplined. They had city policies violated, and Kevin did not, yet none of them were demoted. Why is there such a difference in the punishment of my husband? I went from having a husband so proud of his accomplishments to hearing him struggle to explain to our young sons that Daddy isn't a lieutenant anymore. That was a hard day. My kids went from putting their Decatur Fire play turnout gear on and running calls in the front yard to where now they don't even mention it anymore. I couldn't even tell you the last time they put their gear on and ran out the door trying to run calls. It's really heartbreaking. I've seen my husband lose a spark for this city that he once had, lose brothers that he once had, not to mention the financial loss. Nonetheless, he has picked himself up. He has become even stronger than he was before. He still has a love and a passion for the job he's been called to do. He has done everything that's been asked of him, yet he still sits on administrative duty. I have stood alongside my husband and kept my mouth shut this entire time, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I was afraid of jeopardizing what was left of his hard-earned career. But it's not fair for me to sit quietly anymore. Kevin has been on administrative duty since April of last year. And this is what I want y'all to hear, is that means that one of the most highly trained and skilled firefighters in the whole department is sitting at a desk instead of saving lives in our city. Enough is enough. He has been punished, he's been embarrassed and humiliated publicly, he has lost relationships, and he has lost time at home with our family. He has paid a high price for some things he may have done wrong, and even for some things he was just wrongly accused of. Let him go back to the job that he's good at. Let him finish out his career doing what God has called him to do, and let the taxpayers' money pay him to be the beneficial asset to this city that he was before. Thank you.
Mike Stovall.
Okay, I guess what I'm gonna say today is, I don't feel like, and I know I don't have a dog in this fight or no control, but I don't feel like we should linger with the job of police chief. I think it's something that we need to go ahead and get done with. I mean, we've been doing this for a while now, and the longer that we don't have a chief and the longer things are, it just makes things chaotic for us and for the citizens and the people. So I think it's something that we need to go ahead and get these interviews going, and let's go ahead and do this. I'm excited about it. And also, we're looking into some other stuff like, Sarah made a good point, and I think it's a little bit more African Americans in this city now, but our city hall does not look like our city of Decatur. And what I mean like that, we need some more African Americans in here. We need some more Hispanics in here. It just don't look like us. And I'm just being honest with you. And we got to change it, just like these boards. Danny and I are going through these boards, and we're looking on these boards, and these boards don't look like us as well. So what we're gonna ask you all in the mayor to do is to put some of our people on these boards.
We got to have a balance, because if we're going to deal with this, then we need to deal with racism as a whole. We need to deal with the whole city, get it cleaned up so that we can all move forward as a city. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so I'm curious, with Mr. Mack being the only candidate left, you said you'll go ahead and interview him on Wednesday. You got me saying Thursday. So now, if you all interview him and it appears that he's what you're looking for, then why would we look at other candidates?
I think that was under the assumption that we felt like we needed to do that.
Okay, that's why I like clarity. So if you interview him and it goes well, there would be a majority vote that would be done.
If there's a majority that wants to move forward with that candidate, yes. If there's not, we would, or like we did with planning, it's not necessarily that we didn't want one of those two candidates, but we wanted some more options before making the decision.
You wanted more options, but it didn't seem like there was more interest or more that were qualified, right?
The argument was made that if you want to say it, that there would be more candidates for the planning position.
Okay, so in this situation, there were 18 originally, 6, and then what was it that I heard about second tier?
So there were 6 that were recommended originally to interview. We had 2 drop out. We have 1 that's set for an interview, and so there's 2 or 3 more that are on that 2 that we did not request for interview. The next tier didn't necessarily meet all the qualifications, but met some qualifications. So there's 2 that met all the qualifications that we have not interviewed.
Okay, so are we interested truly in some that don't quite meet your needs, possibly coming in? How does that make sense, though?
Well, they may have had 9 years instead of 10 in a leadership role, or they might have had.
They may just have a bachelor's and not a master's.
Yeah.
If I called you second tier, then would you be interested going forward?
Yeah. It's all about qualifications, so you can check the box.
Okay. What led to it being moved to Turner Searles?
Just having more space available. The 7th floor does not mean there's you can put 10 seats there. There's just not enough room up there. And we've done that in the past as well.
Okay, so after the interview on Thursday, when will you all vote? Or when will you all make a decision?
We can only have conversations in this meeting about that, so it'll be the following Monday we'll decide how we will proceed. Or there'll at least be a discussion of that.
So potentially that Monday, a decision could be made if the conversation leads to that.
It'll be just like
informal conversation, not a vote.
Not a vote.
So when would a vote be?
The vote happens once there's some consensus among the council.
I'm just looking for a time frame, so set it up, draw it out for me.
I can't tell you that exactly because there's a negotiation about salary and how long we give them to move to the city. Potentially, it could take a couple weeks, and then it'll be on a council agenda, just like anything else. The vote is to actually hire that person.
Okay, so
Couple weeks.
let's speak hypothetically. Interview on Wednesday, everything goes great, everyone agrees on it.
I would guess a few weeks of negotiation.
I would say May 5th at the earliest.
May 5th.
Conversation and discussion does not have to be in this meeting.
If there's more than 3, we can't deliberate with more than 2 of us about that topic.
But if we're in, just hypothetically, Harmon, if we're in the interview process and we finish that, we can actually discuss it then.
That's right.
Because we are actually in a special call meeting. The media's been notified, so we could actually do it at that. So it doesn't have to be in this meeting.
I just meant in a formal meeting. We can't do it like in a parking lot.
Right, so, okay, so the interview is Wednesday. After the interviews are over, you all are all together. You all can have a conversation to where then it could come back to the council on that following Monday to where it could be voted on and negotiated from there. No?
Well, the conversation would have to happen between the candidate and the city, the negotiation. Then after that, there would be a vote.
Yeah, it'll probably be on the next agenda.
May 5th would be the next agenda.
It'll be on the next agenda. The thing is that there will be discussion, whether it's, sooner versus later, especially in a special call meeting. We could have that discussion. So, and then we can just move from there and see what, again, like Jacob said, there have to be negotiations with whoever's chosen. There have to be a lot of steps that are going to be taken as far as setting up when our next vote will be. So it could be as soon as May 5th, as he said, or it could be farther back, just depending on us, how we can come together and decide what we want to do after that.
Okay, so once all of that has been done and you all have picked the chief and all terms have been negotiated, how long does it take for them to be placed into the job?
I think once there's a vote, it's just, do they have to give some sort of notice to their current employer? And, I mean, there's still some nuance to that, but not long. I mean, they can give a 2 weeks notice, or maybe they can start immediately. I don't know.
Okay, good deal. Justice for Steve.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.
All right, Alan. You do all right? Yes, sir. All right.